Hello everybody and welcome back for a look at this video. It's a new year, 2021. We got a whole new slew of problems worldwide. We got to keep focused as artists and designers here and make sure that we're filling ourselves with all the right stuff. For if we consume too much of the garbage going on right now, we're just going to become garbage human beings too. So let's consume the stuff that's going to make us better artists and better people in general. Okay, so today I have a great selection from the past. Mr. Alex Toth, or Alex Toth, however you like to pronounce it, I believe it's Alex Toth, is one of the masters of the illustration world, comic book world, cartoon world. You may be familiar with his artwork in the show Scooby-Doo. He was a Hanna-Barbera character designer there and also a prolific comic book illustrator. In fact, that's where his notoriety stemmed from. So this selection of artwork I've grabbed for us today is Alex Toth's collection of short stories in the Creepy magazine from, I believe it went from the 60s to the 80s. There's a little write-up below I'm going to read over because there's a segment in there I really liked and I wanted to share with you guys about this particular artist. Most of the stories that Alex drew the comics for were written by a fellow named Mr. Archie Goodwin. Almost all of the first few ones were written by him, and then as you can see, as the stories progress, we get different writers. Sometimes even we get stories told by Alex himself. But in all of these instances where he was drawing from 1965 all the way up to the 80s, I believe. 82, I think, was the last year he did the job there. Mr. Alex Toth was a featured artist on all of these. So let's go through this. You're going to notice of Alex's work right away is the character definition and style that he has consistent through his work. His characters definitely look like Alex Toth characters, without a doubt. However, as we go through the years, you're going to see a multitude of different styles applied to his technique, and all brilliant, mind you. And I'll note which ones I prefer here in the few that I'm going to showcase today. But before I go into this, I just wanted to read over that little paragraph right here. I like this one right here. I'm going to read this out to you. Okay, Alex Toth was, conventional wisdom has it, a master without a masterpiece, a brilliant comic artist who was never satisfied with his own work or anyone else's. Okay, the standard line suggests that he never produced a substantial work worthy of his reputation among other cartoonists, and he spent the bulk of his career drawing formulaic little stories for odd little genre comics. Not to discredit him, right? Not to not to diminish his reputation by any means. This is where it gets interesting. Toth was undeniably inconsistent. That's what happens when you're constantly experimenting with new materials and techniques. And his unwillingness to repeat himself meant that he'd come up with innovations on which lesser artists could build years worth of a career. You see that? And you're going to see that I'm going to show maybe two or three, maybe four of these short stories, just kind of glazing through them today. And you're going to see exactly what that paragraph is stating here. Then flick them aside after 7 or 8 page story. But formulaic genre comics weren't what Toth was stuck doing. They were his passion. His art always worked in the service of tone, and the tone is at the heart of the genre. Okay, so what we're going to see here is, like I mentioned, his artwork from 1965 to 1981 as he was featured as an artist for these short stories. get your hands on this book if you can. I'm looking to get myself a physical copy. I only have the digital at the moment. So, this little character right here, this is like the storyteller of the creepy universe. He was featured in all the magazines. All the artists did their own rendition of him. You've probably seen him. Little picture of him right here at the beginning. They used to have the Tales from the Crypt magazine. Well, Creepy was alongside those magazines back when these things were getting published and censored back in the 60s. The first short story, Grave Undertaking. And if you look at the art style in this comic, he is using brush, a bit of looks like maybe razor blade cutting through the ink afterwards, and then he's got like a texture screen laid in there, giving all these really grainy textures apart from the hard blacks and the super light whites. And he keeps that consistent with this short story throughout. Really dark, moody, nails the lighting in every single panel. These pages are particularly impressive. You get in a lot of cases, you get your first page, which has more or less a big splash and a bunch of exposition, and then a couple of lead-in panels, and then you've got a standard layout of about 5 to 6 panels a page, all square, one after another. But he's really able to contain the mood and attention of your eye as you as you read through these panels. The direction is perfect, the placement, and then another thing to marvel at too is the art of short storytelling. Just aside from the drawing, but married up against each other, a short story can be incredibly effective, told by a skilled writer and a skilled artist. You do not have to show much when you're marrying the image and the right amount of exposition dialogue together. Some fantastic stuff. I mean, I can't stress enough how incredible this stuff is to go to for your own ideas and your own skill development. Like they said in the write-up, there's enough different styles and techniques laid out in these few short stories that you can basically grasp onto one of them and run with them in a complete style of your own. And in the short stories, they may be 5 to 6 to 8 pages sometimes, there's enough information in those panels for you to run with on your own, in terms of how he lights a scene, in terms of how he draws a face. You'll notice these aren't overly detailed. These are very to the point, very, very expression driven. It's very simplistic. I've shown other artists on this channel that I think nail it equally as well. Mobius is one of them. To me, I think this is how you should draw comics. They should not be more detailed than this. They should be simplistic and to the point and quick paced in terms of how it reads, what is read, what you're looking at in terms of images. This guy is a master in so many ways. Maybe I'm not even fit to be speaking about this man's artwork. I'm just scratching the surface of the secrets of the trade, and I've been at it for 15 solid years. This guy was in his prime, and he thought his stuff was garbage. Look at this stuff. This is just the first story, okay? So let's skip on to the next one. It's called The Stalkers. It's like an alien attack. Here he changes the style a bit. So instead of using that textural lay-in on some of the artwork, now he's just using a wet, watered down ink method, and he's doing all brushwork in this short story here. And this is particularly one of my favorite styles of comic book inking. To me, you know, it doesn't get any more to the point and solid than this. You can see where he's dropped in his shadows. You can see where he's chosen his light source and where he brings all his hard lines to. Uh, this stuff is masterful. Look at this. This hard line right here into the black of the space behind him, and this light broken line. Like, this is what I'm talking about right here, people. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is so fucking good. Okay. So yeah, brush technique. The panels not straight. They're all broken and shifted. He's really playing, and this is clearly probably done late 60s, maybe early 70s. So there's already a multitude of styles across the board as far as how you can ink your comic book, to make it stand out. But here you have a master who has at least 40 years of comic book artwork that came before him, for him to pick and choose what works the best. And I mean, I don't know. Do you need my commentary to tell you how goddamn good this stuff is? Do you? It's the best. Alex Toth is one of the best. Period. And it breaks my heart to think that this guy died at his drawing table, or his drafting table, and he had the slightest inclination in his mind that he wasn't that. Like they said in the write-up, a master without a masterpiece. Well, guess what? Every one of these panels is a freaking masterpiece. I don't care what anyone says. Look at this dark, chunky line to represent the shadowed part of his body, versus the thin, light indication silhouetting the outside of his body. I mean, this stuff is masterful, guys. The black silhouette of the hand. You know exactly what's going on. As soon as you start reading into it, you start reading the words, start going through the panels, none of this stuff is unclear as you're going through it. Fantastic work. Okay, I'm going to skip to this next one. Similar style, a little looser with the line weight, but again, done with a brush. And then you've got the watered down ink for textural difference, but a lot of black and white contrast through this short story here. Again, characters all drawn amazingly, right down to their from the hair on their head right down to their toes in their shoes. Everything is drawn excellent. I mean, the effects. There's motion. There's everything going on here. Everything is crafted perfectly compositionally inside of its panel. These are the things you want to. Another great guy to look at, and we're going to do a video on him soon, is Will Eisner. Will Eisner's up there with Toth as far as how they tell a story with minimal panels. We're talking about 4 to 6 panels on a page with this type of flow, and every panel has a different mood, and it takes you to a different place in time, and somehow they make it work seamlessly, page after page. It's fantastic. Fantastic. I love it. I love it how he brings this black silhouette of the hand and the knife out and in front of the lighted area in behind him, which is the rest of his body. And stuff is so good. It's so freaking good. Okay, because this is going on forever, I'm already at 15 minutes here. Let's just skip to the last one. This one, he doesn't do any textural rendering at all. It's just the brushwork against the white. So pure black and white contrast, which to me is my favorite. This looks like he would have already been working on Scooby-Doo. You can almost see it in some of the characters. But oh my god, guys, this is perfect. When I think of how I would want to do a comic, my brain tells me this is what you want it to look like. couple weeks ago I showed you guys Batman Year One by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. Mazzucchelli's artwork throughout that entire book is done exactly like this, where it's just perfect compositions. You got, blacks where they need to be to illustrate a silhouette in most cases. You got you got everything you got everything you need in order to gain the knowledge that you're getting from the images that fits along with the story being driven by dialogue and exposition. You're not drawing attention to anything that doesn't need to be looked at. He keeps your eye exactly where it needs to be from panel to panel. What you can't even notice here is there's actually there's like a motion almost. It goes through the pages, It carries up through the dialogue, through the characters' expressions, and right down into the next. It's like an S pattern right through the pages. I love this right here. Look at this. The confidence that you're able to take a hard silhouette like that, light up a certain area, black out the rest, and it's such a perfect silhouette of the content he's drawing. Without a doubt, you already know what it is. So obviously, if you're new to drawing comic books and this is something you want to do, looking at all this old comic book artwork is where you want to start. Another great artist, Mike Mignola. I'm going to have to do a video on him. You can see a lot of reference from guys like Toth and Mazzucchelli. You know, all that great stuff that came out about 30, 40 years ago, it was all inspired from great stuff that came out 30, 40 years before it, right? And it's important that we artists go back and study the shit out of this stuff and make sure that it's part of our repertoire in our technique in our technical onslaught. Okay, I'm going on forever with these things. I don't know how to shut up once I get going. Thank you for taking the time to look at this with me and share my passion. This is Mr. Alex Toth we have looked at today, and his artwork from the Creepy series. Okay, I recommend you go out and find yourself this anthology. If not, just buy the digital copy and make sure you have this artwork in a reference folder for yourself for the future. You're going to learn a lot from it, okay? Hope you like the new interface. Hope you're enjoying the new year. Stay safe out there. Stay sane and keep yourself fueled with positivity and keep yourself fueled with positivity and prosper for a better tomorrow, people. Seize the day, all right? I've got a lot of stuff coming out for you this year, and I'll be hard at work writing and illustrating my own comic book series here quite soon. I will leave advertisements on my other social media platforms for when I am posting artwork and information regarding that, as well as when I'm doing live demonstrations and art streams on Twitch that you can be a part of if you like as well. And I'm thinking about maybe doing the same here on YouTube once this channel becomes a little more popular. Thank you for your time, folks. Have a great day.